There's no excuse for what I did, and I won't try to offer one. I crossed a boundary that never should have been crossed, and I violated the trust of someone who needed to be protected and respected. I live every day with the heavy burden of knowing that I caused that harm.
The teen eventually told his parents. Police were notified. Nutley was arrested. She lost her job, license, and marriage. But the victim's family said today their son's junior and senior years of high school were ruined. His confidence was destroyed, as was his desire to play sports in college.
In this situation, I believe that the proper sentence is 3 years in prison on count 1, 3 years on count 5 to be served at the same time, for an aggregate sentence of 3 years in prison.
And Emily Nutley seemed a bit surprised by that sentence. She was immediately placed in handcuffs and escorted out of the courtroom.
So, another cougar has been busted. Now, this other case is coming from the United States of America again. And this time around, it involves a Catholic school counselor called Emily Nutley, and she's 43 years old, and guess what? She's married, she's a mother, and she has also been busted having intimate relations with a 17-year-old student of hers. This is becoming unbecoming, but I guess that is the world we live in now. Now, Emily Nutley, who is 43 years old, has currently been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but is requesting probation. We will get into that bit. But after she was fired and sentenced to prison, her husband, called Jonathan, has subsequently filed for divorce and exited the marriage with the children. But let's get into the details, because I believe that the devil is always in the details, and this is becoming a recurring theme where, unlike previously, we are now having adult females preying, literally preying on younger underage boys. And I have a similar case like this on my channel. I just did an update on it. Christina Formella, very crazy one. She was doing this with a teenage underage male student of hers even after she got married. This is another one, Emily Nutley, and we are going to get in. And after this episode, I'm bringing you another one which is even more crazy. So crazy, where a female teacher also did a similar thing with her male underage student who was just 13 years old, and even in her case, she bore a child, or she gave birth to a child for this underage boy. We are getting into all these things. This is just to create awareness, particularly to parents and guardians, that it's time we pay extra attention to the security and safety of our children, even when we send them to school, because the school no longer is as safe as it used to be. But I digress. Let's get to the case. Now, this Catholic school counselor, or should I say former Catholic school counselor, called Emily Nutley, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison after she had admitted to having an intimate physical relationship with a 17-year-old student. Initially, prosecutors were actually pushing to get 5 years for her, but the defense was also asking that she shouldn't be incarcerated at all. She should rather be given probation. When I saw it, I was like, hey, come on, you are the defense team, but please, sometimes you have to work with your conscience. But let's look at what the state's arguments were, and then we'll look at what the defense team's arguments were, and then we'll get into more details of the case, so we appreciate why the outcome was the way it was. Alright, so here are some of the few of the state prosecutors' arguments in requesting for a 5-year prison sentence for Emily Nutley. Well, first of all, they established that Emily Nutley initiated this inappropriate relationship with this underage male student by first sending a text to the teen and telling him that he's cute And you see, there are a lot of female predators around. This is a theme that society is now gradually waking up to, because initially when we talk of predators, the first thing that comes to mind is males. But now there's a generation of female predators coming up. And this lady is one of them. At the age of 43, you are a mother, you have 3 kids. What do you see in a 17-year-old that is able to turn you on to the point you initiate such an inappropriate relationship with the person? But that's what she did. She sent him a text telling him he's cute. Then, the second thing she did was to send at least 9 nude photos of herself to him. Another inappropriate move. And it begins to show you how nasty she is. And these are the type of people who come into public and want to portray like they are literally the 10 commandments personified. They would criticize every little mistake you make, but they themselves are so nasty, the devil sometimes gets jealous. Now, the third thing she did, according to the prosecutors, was to have a physical intimacy with this student multiple times in her office and also at a park outside their town. She went on to also give him $100 every month. Yeah, why wouldn't she? She's just crazy. She went on also to pay for his pickleball membership. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she also gave him answers to all the exams she was going to set for the class prior to her setting the test or the exam. So he would always have the answers before the questions are given. This guy was literally being favored in all the wrong ways. And to add to all this, prosecutors were actually saying that they have evidence that this 17-year-old is not the only underage male that Emily Natalie was grooming, and that she groomed several other kids. But then it's unfortunate this 17-year-old is the only one who was willing to come forward and testify against her. Now, to all this, the defense, as usual, in trying to do their job, also had some arguments to put up in favor of Emily Natalie. And here is what they said. First of all, they indicated that Emily Natalie is already receiving threats from prison. Where they are saying that based on that, if she's sent to prison, her safety isn't assured. But I was like, hey, it's prison. I don't condone her being in danger, but we can't say that prison may be dangerous for her, so she should be pardoned of her prison sentence for a crime she has committed and rather given probation. Then nobody will go to prison actually, because it's dangerous enough for everybody as it is, but there are still people there. Why should she be any different? At best, maybe they could look at the type of prison they sentence her to. Maybe. I'm not the expert, but I'm just thinking out aloud. And then the defense also went on to talk about the fact that Emily Natalie has taken significant steps toward rehabilitation, and that Emily Natalie has already lost a lot in terms of she losing her career, her marriage, and having a damaged relationship with her children as a result of this case. And I was like, yeah, but what were you expecting? You brought this upon yourself, and that is a natural consequence of your action, but it doesn't begin to be seen as a substitute for the legal implications and punishment for what you've done. So it's a non-starter for them to say that. Then the defense went on to talk again about the fact that there is no indication that Emily Natalie will re-offend or commit this type of offense again, and that her doctor says she's a broken woman with mental health and substance issues. Now to this also, I was like, so what are you trying to tell us by saying that there's no indication she's not going to reoffend, or there's no indication she will reoffend? So what would have been the indication that she will reoffend? Do we need to see her with a t-shirt boldly having an imprint saying I'm going to reoffend, or she will send us a message Or what would have been the indication? Because some of these things, I'm no expert, but they are triggers. And when the trigger is manifested, it's likely she'll do it. She's a danger to the kids around her. That is the fact. All these things they are saying, I didn't agree with it. And they went on to also again talk about the fact that her conviction alone will require her to register as a tier 3 sex offender. Obviously, that is what she's shown she is. And then again, they were talking about the fact that prior to this, Emily Natalie had a stellar professional background and character references. Very good. And she messed it up herself. So why are these defenses? These, you are just talking about the natural consequences that she's brought upon herself per her own actions. That in no way becomes substitutes for the consequences as per what the law states for the crimes she has committed. If you don't agree with me, please let me know in the comment section. But personally, these are my legal opinions as a layman with a bit of legal knowledge. You don't come to court and your offense is being looked at vis-a-vis the consequences for it, and the defenses you are pleading are talking about what you are naturally suffering as a consequence of the crime for which you are in court. So are you saying that nature itself has punished her, so she should be spared? I don't know. Because she's no special from any criminal who has also gone through the same legal system and is doing time or facing one form of legal punishment or the other. But as if this wasn't enough, Emily Natalie herself spoke publicly after her sentencing. And this is what she said. I'm going to detail it out word for word. These are her words coming out in my voice. I read. I stand before you today overwhelmed with shame, guilt, and regret. There is no excuse for what I did, and I will not try to offer one. I crossed a boundary that never should have been crossed, and I violated the trust of everybody who needed to be protected and respected. I live every day with the heavy burden knowing I caused that harm. I see clearly now that the way that I acted was clearly out of line, not only with the law, but with basic human decency that I lived my whole life trying to live by. I carry that truth with me constantly, and it makes me sick. I think every day about the impact of my actions, not just on the victim, but on his family, his friends, and the entire school community. In addition to losing my job, the license to do what I love, and being registered as a lifelong sex offender, I have lost my husband, my home, my family, my friends, and my reputation in my community that I love. I am a mother of 3 children, and I have to look at them knowing that I failed them in the most serious way imaginable. Instead of being viewed as their role model, I've caused harm and embarrassment. I will never stop feeling the weight of that and will spend every day trying to rebuild those relationships. I'm asking for the opportunity to prove myself on probation, where I can continue rehabilitation instead of incarceration. I do not take that lightly, and the lifelong consequences of my actions are felt every day. I'll continue my tier treatment program that I'm already an active participant, and I'm committed to take every step required of me just to serve our community. Not because it's mandated, but because I owe it to the court, to the person that I've hurt, and to myself. I'm engaging with professionals who are helping me understand why I made those choices and how to take responsibility for every part of them. I wish more than anything that I can go back in time and undo the choices I made and the boundaries that I allowed to be violated. I always got everybody else the help that they needed, but failed to look in the mirror when I was at my lowest point. I wish that I had asked for help sooner. I am not asking for forgiveness because I have not earned it. I know that people may just see me as my worst mistake, and maybe that's what I deserve, but I will spend the rest of my life trying to make amends through my actions. Now, when I read this, I was like, this is touching. It's deep. The context is admirable, and it seems like it could be coming from a good place. Or is it? I would say that I don't believe anything in this. If she says she's sorry, maybe she's sorry, but why is she sorry? And I think she's sorry because she got caught. She's sorry for getting caught, but she knew what she was doing. And prior to her getting caught, it was continuing unabated. And I don't see why she's expecting that based on whatever remorse she's feeling, whatever change she's trying to establish with regards to rehabilitation, she should be pardoned from incarceration and rather offered probation. So I'm like, then who deserves incarceration? If you are saying that because you are trying to rehabilitate yourself, you should be pardoned of incarceration, so you are given a chance to make amends, you've joined some programs and all, please. You may be genuinely sorry, you may be genuinely trying to achieve all these things, but the first point of accountability is you take on the consequence you deserve based on your actions. You do your time, and when you come out, that will be you having paid your first penance. Then you come and prove what you are saying. These may sound like harsh words, but I'm sure anybody who is objective enough will agree with me. And you could see she was trying to pull being the mother card. I have 3 children. I'm supposed to be a role model. I think that is also a non-starter, because it's not like you became a mother after you were about to be sentenced. You were a mother and you were committing all these crimes. That in itself puts a question mark on your competence and your true intentions when you reference motherhood in writing to the court, because all these things you are stating about yourself, they are not things that came into being after the case started. These are things that were already in your life at the time you were being stupid and silly with this underage teenage boy of yours in class. You know, people come and they've perfected the art of saying all the right things, and yet they don't mean it. And I wouldn't even be surprised that she didn't write these things herself. I'm not trying to put a dent in what she said. All I'm trying to say is the fact that she still thinks she has a strong case and she should rather be given probation instead of incarceration shows the sense of entitlement this woman is walking around with. She has no sense of accountability. 2, she still thinks she's that special as compared to others who have just been given incarceration straight away. And 3, she's trying to posture like she's a victim. That is somebody who is actually not ready to take cognizance of the fact that she's an offender. She's a culprit. She's a criminal. As per the court finding her guilty, she's a criminal. And the first way of going through her penance, like I said, is to do her time. Talking about all these things, I don't know. But my heart goes out to both families. Imagine you are one of her kids and this is your mom. Imagine her kids are probably going to be teased and taunted with this by their peers for a long time. And aside that, it's going to leave a possible psychological trauma on these children, because look at what your mom did. And even on her as a person and a mother, how then are you, Emily Nutley, going to ever be in a moral position to even check your children on what is wrong and what is right? Because you were literally being physically intimate with people almost their age. So they may never see you as an adult or a parent who knows better. and she has single-handedly destroyed her family. How good was that deed? I don't get it, because was it worth it? And some reports are indicating that she attributed her decision to do this to the fact that her husband had ignored her sexually. And I was like, again, this is an evidence, if it's true, this is an evidence that this person is not ready to take accountability for anything. She's trying to find things to blame it on, trying to find windows to escape through, trying to make herself a victim. Almost as though there's a narcissistic tendency. Own it up. Granted, your husband may even be doing that. Does that justify this? No way. No way. And for prosecutors and investigators to even reference that they have evidence suggesting there are several other kids aside the 17-year-old who came up to testify, then it means that this woman is on a whole new level. It's not a mistake. It is her deep darkness that she's hiding and feeding. And these are the people you meet in public, and they want to show you that you don't have any value. They'll posture like they are the 10 Commandments personified, and yet they are so evil, twisted, shady, and corrupted and dark. The devil sometimes gets jealous when he sees them at work. I'm no saint, but I think that it's very important we all go back to the basics. Audit yourself. You see her writing and talking about the fact that she gave help to everybody who needed it, but couldn't look herself in the mirror and help herself. I think that could be one of the truest things she said in her statement, because you need to know who you are. Sometimes some people are so separated from themselves. They are always in self-denial, not ready to accept the evil they have within. Look at yourself and audit yourself. And if you see you are nasty, you are disgusting, you have a problem, you are a narcissist, you are twisted, you are broken, seek help before you damage your loved ones. I don't think that if she is to go back in time, she will do this knowing this is what will happen. But that wouldn't mean she has changed. That would mean that she's just trying to save face by not getting caught. And she will probably find a different way to do it and not get caught. You know? And all this mushy stuff in what she's written, I don't buy it. I think 3 years was even too lenient for her. These cougars out there representing as teachers are stealing the innocence of some of these male students. The next one I'll be bringing you is so annoying because this female teacher has now had a kid with a 13-year-old student of hers. And she's brainwashed the boy so much. The boy is even trying to speak up to defend her. You know? And that's the next case I'm going to bring to you. And you begin to see how these people who are supposed to, as teachers, protect our kids and shape them are rather breaking our children systematically, or at least some of them, not all the teachers. And her name is Laura Caron. But I'll bring you that episode after this one. Please, parents, protect your children. When your children come back from school, have time with them and have conversations with them that elicit information out of them. Information about how school was, information about what went wrong, what went on, who touched her, who touched him, who said what. Just tease out all these things out of them. It's better to be proactive and find that there was nothing there than to just be reactive and wait for something to happen, because when these things happen, the damage has actually been done already. The sentencing and everything is just to punish her, but it doesn't reverse the effect it has had on this boy. This boy is also leading his life and growing, and you will not know how this may manifest in his future relationships. It's very serious. And just subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do so. Turn on the post notifications. Let me know what you think about these kids. What do you think is causing some women to do all these things? I think it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Personally, I'm no expert, but I'm suspecting some of these women who do these things have an edge to control the men they are with, but they are unable to control the adult men. So they rather go for little boys who can still satisfy them intimately and they can control like their sons. That is the suspicion I'm having. So they always seem to have an eye for little boys. That's so disgusting, honestly. And when they are like that also, sometimes you notice they don't even make room for intimacy with their own husbands or male partners. They are closed off to them because they are just waiting for their session with these little boys out there. Stay safe. Protect your family and your loved ones. Share these videos. These are lessons we can learn from. And I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.